Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Radical Cup North America, round 2 of 3 this weekend at America's National Park of Speed. My name is Eric Miller, the voice of Road America, alongside Tom Drew, the voice of the Radical Cup North America. And Tom, we had a eventful round number 1 yesterday, but into round 2 today. What can we expect from these Radical Cup North America performance machines?
Well, I think the big story of yesterday, of course, was that fantastic drive from Wayne Williams that came undone in the final tour of this fantastic circuit. And Wayne Williams had some brake fade. He was struggling with the brakes for the last 4 laps of that race. So it was no wonder that John Field had that opportunity to pounce. In looking at that incident yesterday, race control deemed it a racing incident. It really looked a little bit more dramatic because of that brake fade that Wayne Williams was experiencing. And so no issues there for John Field, but Wayne Williams will be vying for that number 1 position again in the Platinum class. So too, look out for the 111 of Louis Schreiber. He was on the podium yesterday, but with all the friends and family and local support here, Louis Schreiber, very, very emotional to get 3rd place, wants the win this weekend. I think the other ones to look out for just quickly in Pro 1500 would be Spencer Schmidt. He carved his way up through the field, as did Vaughn Glace in Pro 1500. 2 young guns to keep an eye on, the 99 and the 18. Otherwise, my money in Pro 1340 today is going to be on Mike D'Ambrose Sr. So as we look at the grid here, row 15, 2 guys that won't make the start of this one, David Albin, Jim Booth. On to the next one, and from row 14, we'll see that Scott Wagner will actually be at the end of this field. We believe Dale Dillon may or may not partake. He had a slight injury yesterday. Mike Anzaldi, one to watch, a guy that's no stranger to the podium, typically in the Radical Cup, but Pro 1500 has been mighty quick this weekend. On row 12, we are looking at Valen Venkatesh and Dermot Ennis, and Dermot Ennis, a fierce competitor in Pro 1340. Valen Venkatesh with some work to do. Aaron Ziegler, another one to watch, a local from the Chicago area, and Aaron Ziegler, a newcomer for this weekend. In row 10, look out for Richard Durocher starting in position 20. Another one we mentioned was Mike D'Ambrose starting from position 17. He'll be alongside his rival in the class, and this is the battle for Pro 1340 rights. Brady Clapham will be one to watch for. Arul Venkatesh, the older of the 2 Venkatesh brothers, starting from row 8 and ahead of his younger brother. Chris Hunn had a good race yesterday. So too did Andy Lowe. He'll start from 14th on the grid. Vaughn Glace is one to watch in Pro 1500 out of 13th. Then in 12th on the grid, we have Spencer Schmidt. We mentioned he was a good one to look out for this weekend. Luke Kendall, another young gun out of position 11th on the grid. Austin Riley, so too, a young gun who got to the podium yesterday, as did Jack Yang, who took 2nd, and he's very, very keen to take a win. Raiden Nicole, who can beat this man? 7 wins from 7 starts so far in the championship this year. James Long, what an impressive lap time for him. The Primal Racing duo will effectively be sharing row 4. James Long, last, if you like, of the Platinum cars. Ben Blander, what can he do from row 3 in position 6? He'll start alongside Steve Jenks in the 68, and Jenks very, very quick yesterday, unlucky with a big flat spot. Chip Roma, a SECA competitor, and he'll start from row 2 alongside the hometown hero Louis Schreiber. And from the first row of the grid, Wayne Williams was faster of the 2 men. John Field will start alongside him, but it's Wayne Williams on the pole. Can he finally convert his stellar performance this year into a win? It's not something that he's done yet. He still leads the championship points, winless after 7 races.
How is that even possible? I mean, just knowing the strength of that whole program, how is that possible that he's not has a win? Does not have a win?
Just consistency. I mean, I guess lucky for him, John Field missed the opening rounds at Sebring, but the reigning champion John Field, as the John Field nowhere. In fact, it's a pretty sloppy start for the entire field, strung out already. But you can see Louis Schreiber down the inside and on the inside of John Field. So it's almost as if the drivers weren't ready for that start. We weren't almost ready for that one in the commentary booth. Side-by-side action and a little lock-up there as John Field goes around the outside. We've got a slower car back in the pack and very, very slow into turn 3. But already down into 5, there's plenty of action at the front of the field, side-by-side. Some of the Pro 1500 drivers go. And down into turn 5 for the first time. Chip Romer on the inside of John Field. So John Field going backwards at the moment. And a good battle. That's Spencer Schmidt, who's got the run in the black and gold car.
Field and Romer still side by side at the top of the hill at 6.
And really to and fro, bit of hip and shoulder out for Spencer Schmidt, who does make that pass now. And is certainly clawing his way up through the field.
Well, Chip Romer was able to get around John Field yesterday as well for a while, but then Field slowly started to, I think, save the tires a little bit and started to progressively attack the deeper we got into the race yesterday. And, of course, with the brake fade that Williams experienced, Field able to capitalize on that. But that's all of his years of experience, too. But in this Radical Cup North America, these cars have different identifying color plates on the end panels. For those of you who may not be here yesterday, you'll have 3 different wing colors, fluorescent yellow, fluorescent red, and fluorescent green. Those 3 colors represent the 3 different classes of automobiles here in the Radical Cup Series.
Yeah, the Platinum being the fastest in theory of those cars, 430 brake horsepower from a Ford EcoBoost engine. That's the SR10 machines. The Pro 1500s have red on the rear wing, and then Pro 1340cc as opposed to 1500cc with the green. There's a subclass as well for the gentlemen over 30, or ladies and gentlemen over 30 in Pro 1500. That class is extremely competitive, and we can see that now as they complete lap 1. So it's Williams who's in command of this race. Schreiber is up to second. What can we see for him? And you could see going through shot, that was young Raiden Nicole all over the back of the green machine. Ben Blander, there they go through turn 3. Nicole with a great run using the lightweight SR3 1500 chassis to its full potential. The higher horsepower SR10 carries a little bit more weight through the corners, and that's where you can really unleash the performance of that SR3. Of course, Ben Blander will then stretch his legs down the straightaway into turn 5.
Well, I tell you what, this battle has been pretty frenetic to start this race, but it's been a good, clean start. And I say that, announcers curse right away, into turn 5.
That's Jack Yang. Jack Yang with a big spin into the wall. Doesn't look too bad, but I think there is damage on that left rear. You can see that the wheel is at a funny angle. We've got more chaos ensuing behind. And so Jack Yang out, another driver round. And I think that was the 60, it wasn't the 68, maybe the 88 of Dermot Ennis.
We'll have to see if that's going to bring out a full course caution here, obviously in kind of a conspicuous spot in turn 5 to driver's right. Of course, tomorrow's race is a little bit longer. We've got that mandatory pit stop within the race tomorrow. Not having to deal with that today, so this is full on for 40 minutes from green to checkered. We'll see if we can get a full course yellow here, and we do. Yellow flag is out at all of our corner stations, so unfortunately the announcers curse once again. Jack Yang this time the victim.
And Jack Yang's actually out of the car, so he was obviously realised that car was quite stricken, and I can sort of understand why he did get out, because
facing oncoming traffic with
right.
a broken, looks like probably the rear link broken.
Yeah, and I wonder whether that actually caused the incident. I mean, it would have hit the wall. You can see that there's a bit of damage on the rear wing end
he backed into the wall, so he hit the wall with the left rear corner, I think.
So maybe outbroke himself, locked up the rear.
It turned to the right, for sure. So in that circumstance, kind of an odd spot to go backwards into the wall to the outside.
Well, Valor Racing so far has had a good run this weekend with Jack Yang, of course, second in Pro 1500 yesterday, and winner of the gold class as well. And Valor Racing Ben Lane, Reese and Bobby out in the town experiencing everything that Wisconsin had to offer last night. So they're enjoying themselves here this weekend, but of course be a bit frustrated at the moment. That's a disaster for Jack Yang. That changes the championship a fair bit, not only in the Pro 1500 points, but also in the gold class. And that gives a few people a bit of a look in when it comes to the gold class. So the likes of Mike Anzaldi will be quietly smiling under his visor as they duke it out in that championship. So the safety car continues round. Hopefully we'll go green at the end of this one. That's closed up the pack. And Wayne Williams, who'd stretched his legs over Louis Schreiber in that initial couple of laps, has now got a very, very hungry 111 machine just behind him. And I suspect we will see some fireworks at the front end of this field. John Field will not be happy with his race start. Now, yesterday he came on so well. It was impressive, his pace towards the end of the race, and just wonder whether he'd nursed the Hankook tyres a little more than some of his fellow competitors. In fact, speaking to the likes of Steve Janks and even Louis Schreiber after yesterday's race, they both mentioned that they just had nothing around the carousel, very low grip late in the race. The tyres just weren't up to snuff, really. And so when it counted, Wayne Williams was running out of brakes, and John Field had the tyre underneath him, had the performance he needed, and as we mentioned, you can't afford to give John Field an inch. He'll take it.
And part of that is the years and years and years of experience that John Field has. Certainly around this racetrack and around a lot of race courses, of course, former ALMS champion as well. But John Field, to be fair, backed the corner up quite a bit early in the early going and kind of, for lack of a better description, really kind of saved his stuff. Through the first maybe 20 minutes of that race yesterday, and then went on full attack mode the final 10, 15 minutes. But he truly saved the Hankooks, I think, in that early 10, 15 minutes. Didn't really push all that hard, was able to kind of just maintain, kept the toe, and clearly paid dividends at the end of yesterday's race.
Yeah, and it was great action down in Turn 5, actually, watching some of the replays and onboards last night. A little bit of adjudication to do. Certainly we thought that in the end, no issues with the results, but Louis Schreiber, ultra aggressive down in the braking zone. It was quite amazing to see. Nearly got into the side of John Field. John Field managed to hang on. That set up a big moment for Louis against Chip Roma in Turn 6. So great action from the Radical Cup North America Series yesterday. Brady Clapham, for those who are wondering, still in the lead of Pro 1340 with Mike D'Ambrose Sr. line astern. So that'll be a good battle to watch. The green flag flies. The drivers coming through the final corner, and a couple of drivers making hay while the sun shines, because the green flag is already out. The drivers have been told to race from wherever they are on the racetrack and 3 wide as they head down the front straightaway. There'll be plenty of slipstreaming as well. There we go. That is a sandwich with Steve Jenks right in the middle of Chip Roma as they head down the straightaway. John Field in that too. It's a little bit... Come on! This is going to be a huge one. I can't believe that they're going to get through Turn 1. No.
They don't.
2 cars out. You could see it was one of the Venkatesh brothers, I think, that was on the inside, ended up on the grass with Spencer Schmidt in there as well. And that could be disaster for young Spencer Schmidt.
But Chip Roma were able to get around John Field and Steve Jenks. They were 3 wide right at the outset, right underneath the NTT data bridge. And now Field all the way back to that 5th spot.
There's more battles unfolding as we head down into 5, jockeying for position. Cars again just trying to find their feet on this restart. Drivers very anxious to get through the pack. We can see there John Field really under the gearbox as another Venkatesh in the thick of things. And the caution flag flies again. So he didn't even get a full laps racing. We've got a car off in turn 1, not stuck in the gravel trap. And again, maybe we can check on the timing screen there. I think by the looks of the ants...
That might be Kendall.
It's the 54, yeah, and then up against the wall in turn 5, I think we've got Spencer Schmidt.
Told the driver has the visor up, which is the indication, and that is the 14.
14, rather. So that is Aaron Ziegler. So Aaron Ziegler, Pro 1340 driver. So if we... Spencer Schmidt has fallen down the order, though, hasn't he? He's down. He's listed as 23rd position at the moment.
12th overall in Pro 1500 at the moment.
So whether or not he perhaps wasn't the he was a victim, but perhaps managed to live to fight another day somehow. I think that was one of the Venkatesh brothers coming through. Again, it just looked like driver had to, at the last minute, decided that they'd gone in too deep into turn 1 and got onto the grass. From there, they were going to be a passenger. And the Road America Corvette safety car is going to pick up this field in turn 1. Wayne Williams still in the lead, just like yesterday. And Louis Schreiber will again have an opportunity to see what he can do.
But every time that this full course yellow comes out, I know it's something that everybody has to say. It's somewhat cliche at this point, but cautions breed cautions, as they say. But every time that the field gets slowed down, Wayne Williams comes back to the front bumper of who's ever behind him. And he's been getting some great starts here, which is giving him the advantage. But how hard is he pushing that car with the brakes? With the brake fade yesterday, could he still be kind of causing the same thing he did yesterday, because he did the same thing in the first 25 minutes?
I think what he's going to have to be careful of, obviously you want to generate temperature in your tires, and under the safety car you've got to be very conscious to be on and off the brake and putting energy through the surface of the rubber, generating heat in the tires. However, it's very easy to also overheat the brakes in that scenario, because you're on and off the brake, you're going very slowly, this is a long track, you can end up dragging the brake too much. And so it's very easy in these cars to just overcook the brake system a little bit, and all of a sudden you find yourself with a long pedal. Now, Wayne Williams said he didn't just have a long pedal, he said there was pretty much no pedal, and he sailed down into Canada Corner about 3 laps from the end of that race, and wondered whether he was going to end up in Canada, because he had very little retardation in that car. Now, I think he would, no doubt the team will be on the radio. Try to alleviate putting the foot on the brake. Don't drag the pedal. Don't use too much brake to warm up the surface of the tyre. You can see Louis Schreiber weaving behind him, just trying to keep the tyres clean. And meanwhile, John Field, I feel like that is a red and black shark in the mirror. If you see John Field behind you, you know at some point he's likely to be alongside you. So it's Wayne Williams, Louis Schreiber, Chip Romer, Steve Jenks, John Field. That's the top 5 in the Platinum class.
And when you think about this yesterday, we were literally 2 miles away from having a One Motorsports sweep of the podium, and we didn't have that yesterday.
That's right. Yeah, we could definitely see one today. At the moment, JBR Racing and Group A are trying to do their best to ensure that doesn't happen, and Ben Blander for Team Stradale will be trying to do the same. He sits 6 in Class 6 on the racetrack. Then it's back to our leader in Pro 1500, Rayden Nicole from Austin Riley. Austin Riley looking for another podium, and Andy Lowe, Englishman, in the field, doing a solid job. His second time ever racing at Road America. His first time, of course, was yesterday. So Andy Lowe's taken to this circuit stunningly. Vaughan Glace has managed to continue his charge up through the field. Said it was his father said to me just before the race, it was a fast finish to a slow start and hoping for more of the same again today. I said I think it's going to be a fast start with a fast finish for Vaughan Gleiss. I saw him really, really impress at Barber Motorsports Park, and Vaughan does a little bit of historic racing as well. Very good competitor, and finding his feet after stepping up to the Pro 1500s for this weekend. Arul Venkatesh also looking pretty racy. He sits 5th in class. Now, a few others to keep an eye on would be the 128 of David Mason. Chris Hunn's having a good run. Mike Anzaldi's sort of been relegated. It's amazing for Anzaldi to be relegated to 8th in class.
I noticed that yesterday. He did drop out, I think, towards the end yesterday, or dropped down the order considerably yesterday. But that Rhino Racing entry for Anzaldi is usually typically at the front of that 1500 class, and it was a little bit of a surprise. They really didn't have a lot of pace through the test sessions either this week.
I think it's not so much that they don't have pace, it's just that there's so much competition. And that class has really come on strong. Obviously, last year's champion, Jordan Missig's, now running in Indy Next. And he had a great battle with Nick D'Orlando, and the two were toing and froing for Graham Rahal Performance. And really, I think it shows the caliber of the field. Raiden Nichols sort of taken over the mantle, if you will, from Jordan Missig. Very, very impressive young man for Primal Racing. And as we mentioned, 7 wins from 7 starts, even with a cracked chassis that's been welded up for this weekend. Raiden Nichols is finding pace in the 93 machine. Austin Riley, really impressed with his performance this year. He had, he's a long-time Radical competitor, won the championship in Canada, stepped up to the North American Series, won the championship, actually after a hard-fought battle with Mike Anzaldi, came down to the wire at Sonoma Raceway, and Austin Riley stepped up to 1500. Then it seemed to just his speed just seemed to plateau a little bit. All of a sudden this year, he's come alive again, and I think Stefan really has really helped him out there behind the scenes. But Austin Riley, one to watch. And as we mentioned yesterday, Austin with a bit more motivation this weekend. He's actually got a passenger in the car. He recently had a dog pass away, and the ashes are in a little container in the passenger seat of a Radical. So never seen that before, but nice moment for Austin, something he wanted to do, and certainly giving him a bit of motivation this weekend to take Indy to the podium. Did it yesterday, and we'll see if that will happen again today. Mike D'Ambrose Sr. is ahead of Brady Clapham.
Just noticed that on the restart, Mike must have been able to get around Clapham. And Clapham does have the fast lap of the race, though, for the Pro 1340s at a 2:24.80. Looks like a session best for himself.
And that, of course, could be good for the next race, because, folks, don't forget that the fastest laps of this race will set the grid for the final race tomorrow. So it's not as though you can just cruise. If you're out in the lead, the class lead perhaps, say Wayne Williams rockets off into the distance, he's got to be very, very mindful of what the other competitors are doing around him. At the moment, it's Louis Schreiber who would be on the provisional pole for tomorrow's race. Of course, we've got a long way to go in this one yet, so keep an eye on the lap times, and we'll see how they go. But
just shy halfway, it looks like that's when we're going to get the green flag. So 20 minutes, 40 minutes becomes 20 minutes very quickly here, with 2 full course yellows to start things off here in Radical Cup North America, race number 2 here at America's National Park of Speed.
And I wonder if Charlie Kimball will just have a quick word to Jack Yang and say, mate, we could have got going a little bit quicker if you just reverse the car back down into 5 or something.
I'm not certain he could have been.
No,
it looked like the way
it
was either something happened with the brakes where it locked the rear up and got turned to the right. So very rarely do you kind of turn to the right and then back in. It was very early into the. It's not really into the apex entry yet. So something mechanical may have happened with Jack Yang's car. I don't necessarily think that was on him.
This shot of the cars coming through 13 is just spectacular. What a fantastic sort of mini Eau Rouge section of racetrack. The car's flat out, and the green flag flies again. So we're back racing in the Radical Cup North America Series, race 2 of 3 here this weekend at Road America. And you can see think that was Spencer Schmidt right at the back of the pack. Meanwhile, at the pointy end, they'll trundle down into turn 1 at maximum velocity. All calm for the front runners in the Platinum class. Further back at jockeying position for Mike Anzaldi. He was on the inside, making a charge up through the pack in Pro 1500.
Chip Romer putting a little bit of pressure on Louis Schreiber at the head of the field in the Platinum category. Williams got a good start, but not as good of a jump as he had last time through. This time, Louis Schreiber in that JBR entry within about 4 or 5 car lengths, headed down through the Moraine sweep towards turn 5.
And some cars very, very close in Pro 1500. Hopefully we'll stick with a shot because there's a car on the grass to the inside. And it looks again like one of the Cameron Racing cars. So a Venkatesh brother finds the grass again. And further back, it looks like Spencer Schmidt's run wide, kicks up a huge amount of dust on the exit of turn 5 as they head up 2-6.
Well, all of these drivers can use all of the extra tarmac, even the ones on the outside of the curbing. There's no track limits per se within the guidelines from race control. Fair game if you can use it and it works. But obviously, you still want to give your racing competitors room. It's elbows up, elbows out here in Radical Cup, the final 18:40 to go.
Yeah, Wayne Williams, again, really working well on these restarts. Every time there's a restart, big threat from behind. It's easy to have these cars barreling down in the slipstream into turn 1. But you can see now John Field starting to wind up the wick as he did yesterday on the gearbox. And John Field has a little look to the inside. I think that might have been Steve Jenks who was running wide out of turn 12. We've got a yellow flag, so I wonder. Oh, and Mike Anzaldi in the thick of things too, but there's a yellow flag flying and there's cars passing left, right, and center.
That was 3 or 4 passes under yellow into 12.
So the green flag flies. We can't see if there's a car off the track, and there is. And it's Chip Romer who's come around, and I wonder whether that's Louis Schreiber. Is it? It's a black car.
That does look like potentially Louis Schreiber.
So Wayne Williams, perhaps not.
No.
It looks like Schreiber's gone through.
Yep.
So, it's Ben Blander. Is it? No, it's the 4. So that is actually Andy Lowe. He was much further back. So I think this is a second incident that's taken place. We were sort of commenting on the chaos that was unfolding and the fact that there was passes under yellow. We were both gesticulating to each other that a few drivers hadn't seen the yellow flag that we could see on the inside of that circuit. Of course, it's a relay because I believe there's a flag point on the outside as well coming into turn 12. I'm sure of it. And so I'm not sure why drivers wouldn't be seeing the yellow. In any event, I think Andy Lowe has got tangled up in the original affair.
I'm wondering if Steve Jenks and Chip Romer had gotten together in front of John Field. Jenks and Romer were side by side on the entry, which would make sense proximity-wise that Field would now put himself in the 3rd spot. So I'm wondering if Jenks and Romer had some contact, and Jenks, unfortunately, making contact potentially with Romer, and Romer going around.
Now, if we have a bit of a look at these cars as they
Jenks
come through
4.
5, they do, and they look pretty good shape. I was just wondering whether Steve Jenks might have any damage. Maybe Chip had just spun around, and then, the 4 of Andy Lowe, perhaps just running out of room too. With a couple of cars barreling into a yellow zone, everyone trying to woe up, it might just be a little bit more innocent than it originally appeared to us. But in any event, it was pretty messy. Just getting word that most of the field was 3 wide.
We saw that.
Under yellow. Yeah, we were both making motions to each other. But regardless, a big change at the front. Wayne Williams still in the lead of the Platinum class. Louis Schreiber still 2nd. But then it's John Field with Steve Jenks, who's been relegated to 4th. But the big loser was Chip Romer, who's gone right down the order. Now, Austin Riley still sits 2nd in Pro 1500 with Vaughan Gleiss behind him. So Austin Riley soaking up that pressure at the moment. Those two running line astern and very, very close in times as well. 2:16s is their best. And Austin Riley just a few tenths faster than Vaughan Gleiss at the moment.
Ben Clapham back to the lead in 13:40 after a couple of laps within the green session of Mike D'Ambrose Sr. from Team Stradale.
And one of the things that's going to be really challenging for the guys in Pro 1340 always is the traffic. You know, these guys are very, very fast, so they're catching the back markers in Pro 1500. They've got a lot to contend with. The occasional Platinum class car coming through, whether that's someone that's fallen back like Chip Roma, or indeed the front runners coming back up through the pack after 40 minutes of racing. So these guys have to be a little bit careful. The racecraft has to be key, and it just seems like Mike D'Ambrose Sr. has lost out a little bit to Brady Clapham, who's managed to capitalize, hopefully, without any yellow flag infringements.
You know, in this situation, it looked like Chip Romer was able to get back underway. So the unfortunate aspect for Andy Lowe, his first trip here to Road America at race 2 is going to end up on the hook in that number 4 machine.
Yeah, and that's a real shame because we'd mentioned him going through the starting grid. Also mentioned him that he'd been having a good run, impressive performance for him in this one, and just looking through here as well. The other driver we've somewhat lost, certainly lost sight of, is Luke Kendall, the 54. So I think he might have been one of the drivers that was in that Turn 1 LA a little while ago. And obviously the 4 car rather damaged. It's up on the tow hook. The safety crews here always doing a good job. So long circuit, we could get lucky and go green next time by. The cars are just starting another lap under the safety car, or just about to.
So yellow flag laps here with Radical Cup North America around that 4.5 minute mark. Kind of depends on where the pace car is and field collection standpoint, but roughly about twice the speed of a fast lap here. And with the Platinum class, Wayne Williams currently purple in the session, a 2:11.173 in that situation.
I think there's going to be a fair bit of frustration from the six row of the grid. Spencer Schmidt started 5th in class. He's tumbled right back down the order after that moment in Turn 1. He was really a passenger, though, with the Cameron Racing car, one of the Venkatesh brothers on the grass and coming into the side of Spencer Schmidt. Luke Kendall, I think, was involved in that as well, so that's where we lost him. And that's a shame for Luke, another young gun that's trying to make a mark in the Radical Cup Series. Of course, great place to do it, running alongside IndyCar 3 times this year. We're off to Laguna Seca next, and we'll be swapping out the luscious green fields for that very, very dry, burnt visual of what is otherwise stunning scenery around Laguna Seca. Can't wait to be down in Monterey. And it's a really good atmosphere with the Radical Cup. Obviously, some big racetracks, some beautiful places to go, whether it's Elkhart Lake. A lot of families coming out here with their loved ones who are racing on the racetrack and enjoying everything that these different areas across the country have to offer. Of course, Barber Motorsport Park, beautiful scenery as well, stunning museum.
The Motorcycle Museum in Birmingham is certainly a great place to visit if you haven't.
Absolutely. And we'll be in upstate Georgia, Road America, after Laguna Seca, and then finishing off in the fall leaves at Lime Rock Park. First time the series has ever been there, and the bull ring that is Lime Rock Park.
Tell you what, these
spectacular.
These cars, as great of the side-by-side racing that you can have with the level of downforce, that racetrack I think is going to be really fun.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be flat chat. We're not using the chicanes.
Wow.
So going old school, and just like IMSA back in the day. So that'll be a fun one. And then, of course, the World Finals, Virginia International Raceway, November 6 through 9, alongside the Race of Remembrance.
I would imagine that on the roller coaster at VIR, these cars would be fun, too, at full chat.
Yeah, flat out. and absorbing everything you can while you grit your teeth and hang on for dear life. The downforce in these cars is quite impressive, and you can really see that around this circuit, particularly the Pro 1340s and 1500s. Lightweight machines. The SR10 carries a little bit more weight. The new XXR has some better grip in the front end with slightly different shaped side pods, evacuating the air a bit quicker through the front diffuser, and that allows the front runners to really carry some speed through. But no, a fun season this year. Of course, it all started at Sebring, which is another fantastic historic circuit in the USA, and as we've mentioned, multiple nationalities in the field. In fact, I feel like there's more and more Englishmen walking around the paddock. We've got one driver, but plenty of crew over from England. Of course, Radical Cup also exists in England. It exists in the Middle East. It exists in Australia, in Europe. So all sorts of places you can go and race the world with Radical. And you can start it all at SCCA, NASA competition, or even a track day here in the US. But it's green flag once again. Can Wayne Williams soak up the pressure? Can Louis Schreiber finally crack through for a win here at Road America? And what about John Field? We know he's a menacing figure. If you've got him in the mirror, Steve Jenks is looking for a podium. Austin Riley, can he make it 2 for 2 podiums today? You can see a white car pop and have a look at Austin Riley. Austin Riley giving a wiggle and a waggle as he headed into turn 1. He was very late on the brakes. And Vaughn Glace having a good look now at Austin Riley. So the black and gold car under some pressure further back in the pack. That looks like one of the Primal Racing cars under all sorts of pressure as well. That's around the 128 of Dave Mason, I think.
Williams, again, got away cleanly. Somebody else.
Ben Blander running wide.
With a little bit of brake fade on the way into turn 5. But, again, Williams got away, but Louis Schreiber is not letting him scamper within about 4 or 5 car lengths.
Yeah, and Arul Venkatesh really running wide there as well out of turn 5. He has certainly been fierce today. But Austin Riley just looked clean through turn 3 as well, starting to gap perhaps Vaughn Glace just a little bit. He'll be happy with a reprieve because 7 minutes is a long, long time around this racetrack. We'll get at least a couple laps in, probably 3. And
maybe squeeze out a 4th one depending on where this lays out.
And around the outside, through the carousel is not really a place you want to be, and Mike Anzaldi losing grip.
On the outside of the carousel isn't as bad as you would think on a normal weekend here at Road America, but there is a lot of marbles out there today and this weekend. All the different series rubber kind of with this very high track temperature. Track temperatures around 120 degrees just before the start of the IndyCar qualifying today. So track temperatures certainly elevated, and these Hankooks building a lot of heat and tire temperature. But Louis Schreiber is starting to pick up the pieces and try to reel in Wayne Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking pretty racy down the front as we watch them into turn 1. Louis Schreiber's got a bit of a toe on the back of the 57 of Wayne Williams. Meanwhile, popping out and having a look on John Field, that was Steve Jenks. So Steve Jenks also pretty interested in getting up onto the podium. Through turn 3, and it's still Field in front of Jenks for that final step of the podium. Further back, Austin Riley still ahead of Vaughn Glace. And as they were just trying to pick up on it, Wayne Williams has had a big lock-up. Louis Schreiber goes inside. There's contact. 1-2 hits, and Schreiber's through. Wayne Williams will try and get the switchback. He doesn't have the momentum up the hill, and Schreiber is now in the lead. And Steve Jenks
has gotten around John Field.
And I just wonder if Wayne Williams has a little bit of damage there as well. He certainly would have put a huge flat spot on the inside of that Hankook tyre. Wayne Williams Lady Luck not with him again, and after soaking up the pressure for 35 minutes, we're down to 5 minutes, and Wayne Williams now running second. He'll be fuming under the visor. Further back, Ben Blander with a miracle of the leader in Pro 1500. There they come. Raiden Nicole going through just behind Ben Blander, looking very, very racy on the sort of back end, the tail end of the Platinum class cars. And Austin Riley still sits second in that class. Austin Riley on for 2 podium finishes here. He's taken a third. He's set to take a second today. I tell you what, with that kind of momentum, Raiden Nicole might have to watch out. And there's Austin Riley. Vaughan Glace getting really wide, trying to make the most of the exit onto the long straightaway here at Road America. Glace kicking up the dust. The exit of turn 14 to the inside. It looked as though Steve Jenks was having a look. So that would have been on Wayne Williams.
Likely going to get the white flag next time by from race control. So the final 2 laps here in Radical Cup.
Vaughan Glace again looking solid behind Austin Riley. Can he get the run out of turn 3 and down into turn 5? This is the battle for second place in Pro 1500.
Fields trying to go the long way around.
It was side by side, and that was actually Jenks on Williams. So Williams now relegated to third. Field just behind in fourth. And Steve Jenks having a great run in second place now. Oh, sorry, yeah, second place in the Platinum class.
So Williams looks like maybe having that brake fade again. With the problem into turn 5 on that entry, plus the contact could have caused a little bit more damage. Borrowing that car this weekend after the early wall contact.
And I guess in some ways he'd be saying to himself, I'm salvaging a lot of points this weekend. But when you're so close to taking a race win twice now from 2 starts, it must be immensely frustrating.
But at the same time, Louis Schreiber, how many times the bridesmaid looking to be the bride on the top step of the podium here at Road America?
I tell you what, there is going to be a huge party tonight if Louis Schreiber can pull this off. He's got 2 minutes and 25 seconds. The sweat will be mounting inside that helmet.
It is not over, though, because Steve Jenks is coming.
The emotions, too. He is he's racing this weekend for the Marco Nikitic Foundation, and young Marco was a young man that was taken away from us tragically. A terrible car accident. He was the victim of a drunk driver plowing into the car with Louis Schreiber's daughter also involved in that accident. Louis Schreiber is racing for everything, and Marco's memory this weekend, this will mean a lot to him. And I can tell you,
that gap has been halved at the start-finish line.
He will not want to give this up, though. And Steve Jenks is going to have to be very, very careful, I think, around that 111 machine, because Louis Schreiber will make that SR10 as wide as he possibly can. Jenks to the inside, so trying to fill the mirrors, and comes from a long way back. Louis Schreiber maintains position in turn 5, but of course it's not over yet. We've got the run up through 6. We've got that fantastic sweeping corner down through 7 and 8, through the carousel. Who can get a good amount of traction and maintain the grip levels through the carousel? You've got to make sure the front end doesn't want to scrub out on you. Keep the power buried in these SR10 machines, and then launch yourself through the kink and down into Canada corner. That'll be the big opportunity. Of course, if you can hustle someone on the entry to Canada and they upset their exit, you'll get another opportunity as you come into turn 14. So it's all to play for on this final lap. The top 3 in the Platinum class, they can see each other, and Steve Jenks can sniff a victory here. Louis Schreiber trying to make amends for so many years, coming up slightly short here at Road America in front of his home crowd. It's all coming down to this. Jenks has a look to the inside, and look how much Wayne Williams has closed. It could come down to the final corner. A big lunge, perhaps, through 14. Louis Schreiber in that 1-1-1 machine.
Best friend for Louis Schreiber right now is going to be that Wayne Williams entry on the exit of 14. Puts a little bit of pressure on Jenks. Jenks is in the toe. Here we go. Nose to tail underneath the NTT bridge to the TireRack.com starter stand. The checkered flag is in the air, and Louis Schreiber is going to finally do it. Louis Schreiber wins the Radical Cup North America Round 2 here at Road America.
Steve Jenks second, Wayne Williams third, salvaging third after that big lockup. And now we wait for our winner in Pro 1500. Raiden Nicol comes through 8 from 8 starts. This season couldn't be going better for Raiden Nicol. Austin Riley hangs on, soaks up all the pressure. Vaughn Glace nearly did it, charging hard through the field. Another strong run for him. He is on the podium in Pro 1500. Standout drive for the two Venkatesh brothers, finishing 4th and 5th in class as well. Shout out too for Chris Hunn. And then we await Brady Clapham. He does it in Pro 1340. That's 2 for 2 here this weekend. Mike D'Ambrose Sr. again on the podium. And Kenny Nail beats out Dermot Ennis for third. So a new name on the podium in Pro 1340.
What a great finish here, but how about that? The late restart, the late lunge. Louis Schreiber inside to 5. Williams again, likely with a little bit of brake fade into turn 5. That mistake, they made some contact. Steve Jenks takes advantage of that as well, picks up the second spot, and Williams going to have to settle for the third step on the podium. But JBR gets it done. Louis Schreiber, for the first time, your winner here in the Radical Cup North America. Round number 2 of the weekend, and we do an extended race with a mandatory pit stop tomorrow, race 3. Going to be a fantastic Sunday race day here at America's National Parker Speed. Let's take a look at your unofficial results. Of course, Louis Schreiber, your winner. The 68 is Steve Jenks. 57 of Wayne Williams, that is your podium. John Field in 4th, Scott Wagner. And then your winner in 1500, Raiden Nicol, the 93. Austin Riley will finish 8th. Vaughn Glace, 3rd. In the 1500, and then the Venkatesh brothers, 10th and 11th overall in the race. Hun, Unzaldi, and Schmidt end up in the top 14, and then in the 15th position, Ben Clapham, your winner in 1340, and then Mike D'Ambrose Sr. from Team Stradali, finishing second step on the podium in 1340, and Kenny Nail, your third step on the podium in 20th overall for the Graham Rahal performance entry. And that is each of the 3 podiums running through the official or unofficial finish here for Radical Cup North America. We'll send Tom down for podiums, of course. And then coming up, we've got USF Pro 2000 up next here from America's National Parker Speed.
And I just want to say, if anyone wants to come down and meet the Radical Cup drivers, of course, they'll all be down in the paddock after the podium ceremony. And then 11 a.m. tomorrow to 11:30, an autograph session in the paddock if you want to come and meet your favorite Radical Cup star.
Thank you, Tom, as always. Tom will handle all the festivities down at the podium locally here. And Rob Howden will be up next with USF Pro 2000. Race number 2 of the weekend. Race 3 tomorrow morning at 7:55 for USF Pro 2000. We'll wind up the USF Championship with USF 2000 coming up at 5:20 this afternoon. And, of course, Vintage Indy Registry as well this afternoon. So 3 more sessions to go on your Saturday here at America's National Parker Speed. USF Pro 2000 Championship presented by Continental next.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice. 'Cause I speak of the pompatus of love. People talk about me, baby. Say I'm doing you wrong, doing you wrong. Well, don't you worry, baby, don't worry. 'Cause I'm right here, right here, right here, right here at home. 'cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. I play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I get my loving on